Hey, you guys. Okay, happy Tuesday. Sorry, Kaylee. Kaylee's right next to me. She says hello. Okay, I'm gonna wait just a second while people start to hop on. Happy Tuesday. Again, if you are just joining us recently or anything like that, Tuesdays and Thursdays are my days to go live. Hey, Lexi, thanks for hopping on. And really just do a live training for you guys, talk about business, talk about life, talk about really like your goal setting. Right now, this month, as you may know, it's all about 2020 planning. So today is another video about that. And I'm really excited to dive into this topic because this is something that I used recently for myself and something I've been really talking about and going through with my clients as well. And just so many people, because let's be real, it is halfway through December. How crazy is that? We are almost to 2020. We are almost to the holidays, which means we are almost to 2020. Hey, Lexi, thanks for hopping on. Say hello to Arlie for me. I miss that little kid. But okay, so I'm just going to dive into it. So if you are here, please say hello. If you are watching the replay, let me know, #replay, and any questions or comments or anything you have, takeaways, so I can follow up with you after the fact as well. So today we are going to be talking about really making intentional changes for your success for 2020 and what this really means. And like I said, kind of in the description, really going through some fun questions to figure this out. Because sometimes just asking yourself like what you want can be really hard. Like you have to come from different angles, right? So let's get started. Sorry, Kaylee's right here. I keep hitting her in the face. Not on purpose, of course. She's helping. But anyway, okay, so I want you guys to think about, again, like I always encourage you while you're doing this to kind of close out other tabs or put away distractions. I always try to put my phone like upside down on vibrate so I can't hear it or see it and it's not a distraction. So I encourage you to do that. Grab a journal or a piece of paper and kind of walk through these things because I feel like today can be really helpful, and also to like give yourself some extra time if you need it afterwards to really propel you forward into what you want for next year. So making intentional changes, this is so good because it's one thing. And I'll be honest, I've been hearing this a lot, right? It's one thing to make like a New Year's resolution at the beginning of the year. Let's be real. Most of the time when people talk about New Year's resolutions, and I will say this, the same for myself, I am all about setting goals. You know that. I'm all about goal setting and achieving and who you become in the process and everything like that. But setting New Year's resolutions, at least the way that kind of society has talked this up, is like you're supposed to set new goals for yourself. You're supposed to set these resolutions of what you're going to do, but nobody really teaches you what's going to, like how to actually do it, how to actually be successful going forward, and what makes a good New Year's resolution in order to make that happen, have it stick, like actually build the habit and turn it into something more that like you want for your life, right? So why set them? So many people get into that as like, I don't set New Year's resolutions. Like that's not what I do. Especially because let's be real, like a lot of people fail at doing that because you're not set up for success to do that. You're just told that you have to set a New Year's resolution and then that's it. And then all of a sudden you're not doing it and you don't have the success from it, right? So like I am definitely all about, like I said, setting goals, achieving them, really teaching you how to set the right one so that you can actually get the success that you want. So I am going to be sharing way more about like going into that process in January to kind of lead off the year. So stay tuned for that. Would love to know your thoughts. But for today, we're going to kind of start that process. And what that means is really figuring out what intentional changes that you actually want to make for next year so that you can start thinking about those things. Hey, Amber, thanks for hopping on. So good to virtually see you, right? So I want you to think about all the different areas of your life. This can definitely include business too, but I'll be honest, today is going to be a little bit more about your life than business. But as I always say, your life and your business, especially if you are a business owner, if you have just started a business, if you are thinking about starting a business, hey, Amber, your life and business are very integrated. Right? It's not just this work-life balance anymore that maybe you had or didn't have. That's up for for interpretation, right? In your day job or in your corporate job or whatever that looks like for you, that it's really not work-life balance when you have a business. It's really this integration because your regular life really intertwines into how you run your business and what times of the day, or if you're working on your business pretty much all the time, or how you actually set time for yourself away from your business and then feeling guilty. And oh my gosh, there's so many things I could go into there, but that's why they're so integrated. So that's why I really want to talk about all of these areas of your life and integrate it with the business side of it, but coming from more of a life stage today. So I hope that that makes sense. So some of them that I wrote down, I always define kind of 8 different areas of your life. You'll hear a lot about 7, but I kind of like to add this extra one in there because it's just very relevant to how we live and what we, the different areas that will affect other areas, right? Or impact other areas depending on what habits you have, whether they're good or bad, what goals you have, and how each one affects different areas of your life. I am a big one to, especially if you are new to me, I'm a big one of, you cannot just set a goal and expect to really get good at like in one area of your life without it affecting the others. That will probably be more apparent as we go through this training today. But basically that like, you can't just say that you're setting a goal for like your business or just for like your relationship, but all of the other areas are failing, right? Like something's going to hold you back in another area that's not going to allow you to move forward in a different one. I hope that that makes sense. Again, that integration piece versus like a balancing act, right? So I'm going to list these out. I want you to like write down the ones that either resonate with you or list them all out just so you can think about it. So first of all, like your work, right? So like your career, your business, whatever that looks like for you. If you're still at a day job and you're running a business, it might look like both, like just your work in general. So that's number 1. These aren't really in any particular order. It's just how I have them listed. Number 2, your relationships or this like social area of your life. So this could be whether you're in a relationship currently, whether you're married or just dating or something different, right? Like your, what do I want to say? I just forgot the word, like a significant other type relationship, right? Would be different than like your family, your relationship with your family, whether that's maybe like your kids and your internal family, or say like your parents or your aunts and uncles, or more like immediate or extended family, right? Or just your friends. And again, whether that's like coworker friends, friends that you've been friends with for a while, maybe it's related to your business, like business friends, things like that, right? There's a lot of pieces relationships can be. So I wanted to kind of separate out how those are different, but thinking about all of those as kind of the social area aspect of your life, right? So relationships or your social life, your health or your physical area of your life, right? So how is your health? This can be also like health and wellness. I see this a lot nowadays, so you can write kind of both down. Number 4, financial, obviously money, right? Your relationship with money, your finances in general, all of the money stuff, which we'll get into later. Number 5, your personal development or personal growth, which can also be just your intellectual part of your life. Like how are you going to continue growing? What's important to you there to step into, especially for next year. Number 6 is like your energy or your emotional part of your life. And I really loop that into like your self-care. So like, how are you taking care of your energy or protecting your energy? How are you refueling yourself? How are you taking care of your emotional well-being, right? So a lot of that has to do with self-care. That's kind of how I group it, but you can kind of label it what you will. Number 7, this is the one I was talking about that I've kind of added because it makes sense, is the environmental. So this can be like your home, the space that you have, whether to work or to play or whatever that looks like. This can also be like, can involve like traveling too. So basically like just your environment for like where you are and what you feel comfortable in or what's important to you in a environment state. So like this could be things like your house and how it feels organized or cluttered, or how you want a home to feel, versus like how it might be feeling right now to you. Or something, especially for me, a lot this year that I want to change next year is like your workspace and how, again, like some of these parts integrate, right? So like having your self-care, like having a space to facilitate your creativity or your work or being productive or feeling at your best. Sometimes this means an office of some sort, which is very true for me. As you know, or you may not, this is literally like where our dining room table should be. I do not have an actual office, so that's something I want to change going into next year, is actually having like an office workspace. But this could be as simple as like setting up a corner in your home for like a reading corner, or like a craft corner, or like some sort of space to call your own, right? So having that environmental piece, that's kind of what I mean by that, is like your environment in that aspect of your life. So that's number 7. And number 8 is spirituality. So whether you're religious or not, or you know, you're just in tune with like more of like the universe, or just how you feel connecting to some sort of larger purpose, whether that's religion or not. I'm not going to get into like what that means for you, but just having that as an area of your life to dive into as well. So those are the 8 areas of your life that I want you guys to think about today. And I want to kind of set that up for you as we move into this process, so that you can think through each one of those as you go through this. And again, if you give yourself time, like after this training, or you can always, like, if you're watching the replay later, you can always pause it and give yourself more time to dive into each of these, relating to each of these questions. But really what I want you guys to do, like, this is really assessing each of these areas of your life for what you want to change going into 2020, so that you ultimately like feel, what am I gonna say? Like feel, look, have, whatever word makes the most sense there, so that you feel better or more set up for success, and really creating just that definition of success that you want. So I talk about this a lot in my videos in general, but basically how I define success is very specific to the individual person. So your success is going to look very different than the person sitting next to you, or even a person that you work with, even your best friend, even your partner sometimes, right? Like success can look very different to every single person. So I want to be really clear. And when I say like intentional changes for your success, is you really need to start first and define what this success piece looks like. So as kind of a starting point, now that we have these 8 different areas of your life, really give yourself time to kind of go through each of these. And first of all, where to start first is, how do you define success for each of these? How would you define a successful year next year for your business, or for your career, for your work life, for your relationships? How would you define success in your relationships? How would you define success in your health, in your financial state, in your personal development, right? Like in all of these areas, first and foremost, how would you define that for you? Because it looks very different for everyone. So when I work with my clients, this is one of the biggest things that we dive into first and foremost every single time, is what does success look like for you in this container, whatever that looks like, if it's 90 days, if it's 6 months, if it's the next year, whatever we're kind of looking at, like how would you define success? What is that kind of end result, or that direction that we're really trying to go toward, right? Because that's what's going to put you on the right path. You can't just like start a habit and expect yourself to like feel good about it if you really don't know what you're striving for, right? You don't know what that end result looks like. So you have to have a clear picture of like how you define success. So I want you guys to start there first of all. Define the success for each one of these areas. And now here's where we get into the questions of like setting these intentional changes and what I mean by that. So you may have heard this quite a few times, or I'm just going to repeat it again because it's a good place to start, is going back through, now that you have an idea of what the success looks like for each one of these areas, I want you to ask yourself, and this could be part of how you define the success too, this might be a good starting point for you, is what do you want? Like, what do you want from your career? What do you want from your business next year? What do you want from your relationships? How do you want it to feel, right? What do you want for your personal development? How do you want to grow next year? Sometimes that's a good starting point, just to ask yourself what you want. And I understand that this can be a really hard question if you've never asked yourself this before. This was something, I first asked myself, like, not even that long ago, like maybe 2-3 years ago. Like, I heard that question for the first time and I was like, you're so right. Like, it's okay to ask like what I want. I don't know why that's like not taught in society, I feel like. But it was such an eye-opening question for me at first. And the more and more you do it, like the more and more you allow yourself to dream and have these bigger goals and have these bigger visions for your life. I talk about possibility a lot and how you are possible of like everything that you want for your life. But first you have to like know what you want, right? So this can be a really, really difficult question, even though it sounds so simple. So I want you to just give yourself so much grace for this question while you're going through this, because if this part is hard, that's okay. It just means that you haven't dove into this yet. So it's a really good starting point. It's really exciting. I want you to open up to this question and like allow yourself just to like daydream a little bit. Like, what do you want? It's just kind of fun. Like, you get to kind of be the kid again a little bit. And like, if you were to imagine what you wanted your business to look like, what you wanted your relationship to look like, what you wanted all of these things to look like, what would it look like, right? So start there. That might help you define the success for each of these first. However, I also understand that may be a question you feel stuck on, or especially right now, if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling frustrated, especially being at the end of the year. I feel like this is such a time, other than like the holidays and the drama there and all of the things that come with that, which my heart is totally here for you. If that is you, I fully understand you there. But like ending the year out can have a lot of pressure to it, right? Like there's this, I've seen so much even just like on social media lately about like, what have you accomplished this year? Or what are you most proud of this year? Which is like a good question to ask, don't get me wrong. But that can bring up a lot of pressure or comparison with other people. This can even be seen as like when you're going to see friends and family for the holidays, asking or talking to someone about like what their kids are doing or what they're doing or where they've come this year or all of the like promotions and things that happen, right? Like people are reflecting on the year, which can be very challenging. So if you are at that point right now where you're feeling really frustrated, you're not where you want to be yet, you did not have the year that you wanted to have for whatever reason that is, right? And you're really just in that kind of like disappointing, frustration, feeling stuck like area. First of all, I'm sending you so much love. I get that. I have been there so many times in so many different parts and levels and timings of my businesses and everything. Again, like I have 3 businesses, you guys. I go through all of these experiences very differently for each of the businesses. So I definitely get where you're coming from, which is why I love this so much, because I have an angle for you that I think you guys are really going to love. So whether you're feeling frustrated or not, I want you to try this, because this is something I actually used last week to really have like this breakthrough for myself, but it came from a place of frustration. And I want you to like know that that's okay sometimes, right? It's all in how you use it. It's not just sitting there being frustrated, feeling stuck and like dwelling on that and being in that stuck place. It's like taking that and using it as fuel to like move you forward, right? So basically, instead of going to the question of like, what do I want? How do I want to feel? I want you to come from the place where you are, like meet yourself where you're at. And I want you to think about currently in these different areas, what pisses you off? I say this with like so much energy, because it's such a good question, and it can feel like such a release to allow yourself to just feel pissed off for a minute and like know that that's okay. Like if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling frustrated, let yourself feel pissed off, because it's where you go from here. And really uncovering these things, that's going to be a game changer for you for making these intentional changes. So I want you to ask yourself, like, what pisses you off right now about your career or about your business? What pisses you off about your industry that you're in? What pisses you off about your relationships right now, you guys? Whether that's friends, your significant other, your family, because we all have these, let's be real. What pisses you off right now about your health? that can be like personal sometimes, but it's so good to like get real with yourself. Like, you know, like what pisses me off is like I told myself that I was going to like take the dogs for a walk every day and I haven't, or that I wanted to work out X number of times per week and I haven't, or, you know, like we all fall off the wagon, let's be real. So like what pisses you off? Like what promises have you not kept to yourself? Especially related to like your health and wellness, like how do you want to feel and why are you like, how are you pissed off that you're not feeling that way, right? What are you pissed off about your finances? You guys, like, let's be real. Let's talk money for a minute. I am all about talking numbers and money because not enough people do it. And it seems like such a taboo topic. Let's be real. How many people don't talk about their business finances or where they're actually at instead of just throwing around like these like 10K in 30 days or like whatever those are, you know, we all see those things, right? Business is so much more than that. And if you are in business, I'm sure that you know this, that like things are not consistent. There's a lot of work that you have to do to actually like hit these like 100K or 10K or all of these numbers, right? It's just, I hate how those things are thrown out there because it's not the reality. And honestly, that is why I'm so big on like sharing my numbers and being transparent with you guys and like just being open and honest with like where I started with my business, where I'm at now, what those numbers look like. And then personally too, like what do your personal finances look like? What pisses you off about that? Maybe it's just the sheer fact, like you have no idea what's going on or you're not on top of it and you feel like totally out of control with your finances, right? That's okay. Like I want you guys to know, first of all, like I am definitely the person to talk to about that because I will be open and honest with you guys about that all the time. Like, let's talk numbers any freaking day. What pisses you off about your personal development and growth? Like maybe you're not as far as you want to be with X, Y, and Z, with, I don't know, with like where you want to go. You have these big visions and dreams for yourself and you just feel like that's so far off in the distance that you don't even know where to start, right? What pisses you off about like, do you feel just low on energy or exhausted all of the time? Does that piss you off? So like, where can the self-care piece come into play, right? What about your home? Like, are you feeling pissed off that like your home feels like chaos and like every time you come home, it's like you're walking into a storm instead of coming home and being able to relax and walk into like an inviting place where you should be able to feel like home instead of like this crazy place that like you don't even want to like look at, right? I want you to walk through all of these and really think and write down what pisses you off about these things, because that is such a powerful way to start in setting new intentional changes for next year, because you can really assess like, cool, like I'm pissed off about these things. Like I feel better, first of all, getting them out and on paper instead of like repressing them and not letting them be heard, right? So like knowing that it's okay to like be pissed off, first of all. But second of all is because you can take that, see what's pissing you off, and then immediately go and figure out what you can change in order to feel good about it, right? Love the hearts. Thank you guys for being here. I can't see who's on right now, but thank you. I love that. So yeah, like seriously, what pisses you off? Write those down. How can you take that to actually go make a change in your life, in your business, and whatever this is related to, and set for next year so that you don't need to feel pissed off next year. You can actually feel better about it, right? So for example, again, honesty, transparency, it's totally what I'm about. So last week, I really hit a block in my business and just realized that like something was there. It wasn't a fear. It was totally a block. I didn't know what it was. And especially in relation to business, like I had to kind of dive into like just what pisses me off about my business or about the industry that I'm in, and how do I want to like set myself apart for next year so that I can really like stand out and move to the next level in my business instead of just like stay where I'm at, right? And like tread water. So I really use this to assess like last week I did a training on like assessing your competitors and diving into your competition and then how to move from there. So if your business area is one of the pieces you're pissed off about, I definitely encourage you to go back to that video and watch that as well, because I talked a lot about this there too. But really diving into, what pisses me off about the industry, about other people who are in similar service-based businesses like I am, other coaches, other photographers, let's be real, using the competition or your industry in general, and understanding what pisses you off so that you can decide how you want to move forward and stand out in your business. So I'm going to be real, like I was just talking about with numbers and how I'm so open and honest about numbers, is because one of the things that pisses me off about a lot of other marketing out there is the way that people really promote this, like 10K in 3 days, or like using those numbers to like suck people in, because let's be real, like it works. Like people are looking to make more money in their business, right? I totally get that. But doing it in a way that's like not attainable or not achievable, or kind of marketing it as like a quick fix instead of like a long-term, like actually building your business sustainable so that you can continue to like hit that amount of income or bring in new revenue to your business. And it's not just like a one time and then it never happens again, right? Or like going through this and like never being able to hit that, but that's how it's like advertised, right? So like it irks me, which is why like I want to be so real about like my numbers in business and how it took me, I don't know if you guys have like seen the post before, but I did basically my first 3 years as a photographer. I didn't even near hit like 10K for the year in gross revenue, you guys. Like, let's be real. Like that's something that a lot of people won't be willing to share, but like that's business. When you are starting a business from scratch and DIYing everything, let's be real. You don't know, like I didn't know anything about business back then. I was just excited that I could be doing what I loved and still making some money doing it, right? Like you all have to start somewhere, right? Like you have to start at square one. I'm not saying that it's going to take you multiple years to even hit 10K in your business. Let's be real. That's why I do what I do, so you don't have to go through that like I did. But like I will never tell you that like I'm going to promise you that that's what you're going to do if that's not where you're at, right? Or just not knowing where you're at in your business. Like that drives me nuts. That pisses me off about the industry, about other people that have a business similar to mine, right? So that's why I've taken that pissed off feeling and turned that into, okay, so instead, like, how can I change this in my business, or how can I change this in my life to like really own this and have my business stand out? So that's being fully transparent. Like I want to be open and honest. I want to be able to talk about finances and numbers and money with you guys, because not a lot of people do that. And it's so needed, because if money is a huge piece and affects so many different areas of your life, you guys, like you have to be not only like in control of your money situation, but you also have to know like how it's coming in and feel like own your power in stepping up and owning your finances so that you can change that, right? So like I am all about that. I'm working with my clients to do very, very specific things with getting in control and really just like empowering them in their money situation in order to do that. And that's what it's all about. It's not about just hitting these fancy numbers. It's about really creating what you want. Again, going back to that definition of success. So anyway, that's like, I'm going off on a tangent. I realize that, but that's how I used it specifically last week to really realize like what pisses me off. How am I going to use that as fuel to move me forward to making these intentional changes, specifically in this case, to my business for next year? And that's a huge piece that went into my 2020 planning on like how I want my business to develop and stand out, and how I want to like brand myself and things like that, right? So like how can you use that prompt of what pisses you off in each of these areas of your life to use those as fuel for making changes for next year, right? So I feel like your career or business, so like your work and your relationships and your health, like let's be real, those are probably the three, sorry for the squeaking, those are probably the three biggest areas that like you probably want to change or that have things that piss you off. So how can you, sorry, we got a new toy. So how can you change those? Like, I would love to hear as you guys are watching this and going through this, I would love to hear what comes up for you guys for what those changes are, for what those changes are for next year. And then we're going to take those and move those forward into like how to get even more specific on those so that you can actually get the success that you want for next year without, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, without just setting it as a New Year's resolution and having it like fall through, right? Don't want you guys to have that again. Don't want you guys to just set New Year's resolutions. Again, these are intentional changes. I want you guys to have the success. Everything is possible for you that you want for your life and business, like I always say. So how can you actually be successful doing this? So I'm going to kind of stop there tonight and continue with this in probably Thursday's training, but would love to know where you guys are at. This might also go into the January trainings as we really step into next year and setting those goals and achieving results and what that process looks like. So keep me posted. Let me know if you liked this, if this prompt helped you guys for setting these goals, and just what questions you have or what comes up. What are you struggling with when you're setting these goals? What have you struggled with in the past for setting New Year's resolutions and not following through? I would love to know all of these parts so we can make sure that you really have the success that you want, especially starting off a brand new year. And let's be real, a brand new decade. How crazy is that? So let me know your thoughts, your takeaways, definitely the changes that you want to make for next year. Follow up with me. Let me know how this went. If you know anyone who needs this or is like struggling to either plan for next year or just that it would be really helpful for them, I would love if you would invite them to the group or just tag them below in the comments below. So that way they can go through this too. I want this to reach whoever really needs it. So if you have a friend, if you have someone in mind, and just tag them below so that they see this too. I would love to connect with them. I think that's all for tonight. If you guys haven't yet, just wanted to mention too that my scholarship opportunity ends tomorrow. So if you have not gotten your application in yet and you are interested in the 90-day program in celebration of leaving my day job a year ago, I would love for you guys to apply. So I will drop the link in the comments below for anyone who still wants to apply. The application deadline is tomorrow. So spend some time to do that either tonight or tomorrow. I can't wait to connect with more of you. Just as a side note, I have started reviewing them today. And holy shit, you guys, like I am just so blown away by all of you guys who I am connecting with and who have all of these just bigger visions and dreams and passions and goals for your business or all of these different ideas, especially for those of you who are on Multipassionate. I am just so loving going through these and learning more about you and your business. So please know that like, even if you feel you're not a good fit for this for whatever reason, but you still feel called to like fill this out or to work with me or to just get your ideas out on paper, I would definitely encourage you to apply. I will be going through these one by one and reaching out to you individually, regardless of like the winner or not. So please feel free, like if you're like, I don't think that this is for me, but I would love to share this with you, please feel free to fill it out. I will definitely be following up with all of you who apply personally. So I would love to just hear more, learn more about you and your business and where you're at, or your ideas and where you want to get started and see where we can go from there. So fill out your application. I hope that this training was helpful. I will see you guys again on Thursday for the next one. In the meantime, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will talk to you guys more on Thursday. Have a good night, you guys. Thank you for being here.